Hello there and welcome to a bonus video on Through Boggy Terrain as I'm taking a look at Final Fantasy Type 0. I'm just going to offer up some of my thoughts because I've finished the game and it's actually the first game that I've managed to get 1000 gamerscore on Xbox One, and I'm not really an achievement hunter, but I felt as if that was reason to really have a look at this. I've also got some footage left over from when I was doing the Q&A before with the Eidolon challenge, and I'm probably just going to be using that whilst I just talk about it here. So yeah, they always say that the first bite is with the eye, so I'll be starting by taking a look at the graphics. Now, I've seen a lot of people go pretty nuts about these graphics, and I just don't see it. To be honest, this looks as if it still could have been at home on the last gen, I would say. And in fact, in some of the cutscenes, you can see they haven't even bothered replacing some of the textures from the PSP version. They look terrible on the new gen. They really get shown up. Really, it's been overhyped in terms of that. The graphics are okay. That's probably the best I can say about them. They're okay. At times going to poor. As for the voice acting, I also wanted to cover. Some of it is awful. Some of it's reasonable, some of it's passable, but you get some characters that sound as if they have way too much energy, and other characters that sound as if they're about to fall asleep. I mean, I'm really not that impressed. Of course, the lip syncing is never very good on these things, because you're basically playing a Japanese language game that's being translated into English, so you can't expect that to be perfect. So right now, you probably are thinking to yourselves that I'm sounding fairly negative about this game, but in fact, this is the best Final Fantasy game I have played in a long time, and I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of that has come down to the fact that it feels like a Final Fantasy game again. There are problems with it, and that's really what I wanted to highlight. There are more, without really going into too many details about the story. Only one character really has a character arc throughout the story of this game. There's another character who has a bit of backstory, but then the rest of the characters in this game you don't really know very much about, and in a way it kind of suits the game, because although I said only one character really has an arc, Class 0, who you are following in this game, have an arc as a group, which is quite interesting. A lot of the characters have personality traits and things like that, but it's not to say that you really get to know them as a character, really, in this game. Like I said, I don't really want to cover it too much, but the story is actually quite interesting as well. Basically, just to summarise, you're fighting over a continent that's split into 3 factions. The Dominion, I think they're called the Imperials, and Concordia. And you're playing as the Dominion. Essentially, it's a war story. So it's always interesting to hear the little bits like no faction comes across as being entirely good. They all make questionable decisions. In fact, your faction, the Dominion, aren't welcome everywhere, exactly. Sometimes when you take over a city, people will react negatively to you. And you have other things such as people are scared of you. The Red Demons, they'll call you at times, your little group. Makes for a really interesting story, although at times it's not particularly well written and sometimes the dialogue isn't particularly well scripted. It's still a very interesting story and one that I really enjoyed. What's more, the battle system for this game is actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it. All of the characters that you get to play as, because you do get to play as more than one character in this game, they all feel different. They all feel unique, so it gives you reason to want to play through as all of them, to really find who's best. They've all got interesting skills to them, and they're just generally fun to use in battle, which is something that I can't really say about Final Fantasy 15, which you got the demo disc for if you bought this game. Final Fantasy 15's feels very clunky and unresponsive, and it just doesn't feel very fun. To be honest, I mean, at this minute, I think Final Fantasy Type 0 feels like the better game between the two. Sure, Final Fantasy 15 looks polished, it's probably voice acted better, but it's not got the same amount of fun as Final Fantasy Type 0 had, and admittedly, that is a demo, so things can still change. Okay, other things. Well, I said this feels more like a Final Fantasy game, and we have a world map back. For the first time, I believe, since Final Fantasy IX, I think was the last time we had a proper world map in the game. And it just adds that extra element of exploration to it. There are various side tasks as well that you can do in the game. You can raise chocobos. All these things just really help to immerse you in the world a bit more. And it doesn't feel like, for example, Final Fantasy XIII, where you set down a very linear path. This actually feels very open. It feels like you're a part of a vibrant world. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it, which really sums up my opinions of this game entirely. Is this is just an enjoyable Final Fantasy game, and it's the first one, as I said, that I've enjoyed in a long time. So if you're a Final Fantasy fan, or even if you're just a JRPG fan, I would highly recommend you go out and get this game. So I hope you've enjoyed this quickly hashed together video. Like I said, it was really only a little bonus thing for the weekend, really. Just whilst all my thoughts were fresh in my mind. I would like to illustrate this more and put together a proper video, but I always find reviews of JRPGs, if I haven't been recording the footage all the way through, it's quite hard to go back and get all the footage that you want, because they're obviously so long. Right, so yeah, I hope you've enjoyed listening to my thoughts on it anyway. Do you disagree with any of my thoughts? Or perhaps you've had your own experiences in there that perhaps I've overlooked? Feel free to leave those in the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of you that will be disputing some of my views. Okay, right. Thanks for listening, guys, anyway. I'll see you again soon. Bye!